Hello and welcome to Living Word, growing a family that experiences every promise of God. You're listening to another life-changing word from Pastor Scott Anderson. For more information, visit our website at livingwordonline.com.
New series is called, and Holly gave me the name about 3 weeks ago, and I was so excited about it. I'm like, I cannot wait to do this series. It's called CrisTis. It's putting Christ into your crisis. How many people know that if I can put Christ into my problems, my junk, things seem to get a whole lot better? And no matter where you turn right now, all you hear about is crises. Every crisis. Social media, we got a crisis here, we got a crisis there. Crisis with my teenager, crisis with my kids, crisis in my marriage. Can't find a marriage. Got a crisis in not finding a marriage. Got a crisis with the water. Got a crisis in the Middle East. You watch the news for 30 minutes. How many people know it's just one big crisis? They talk about there's a crisis that we don't have enough crises. And so there's crises everywhere that we look. And in our own lives, I'll bet you every single day, there are either little or large crises that we are dealing with in our life. And we're going to find out in this series how not just to get through our crisis, but to get through our crisis with some victory in our life by putting Christ or putting the cross into our crisis. Come on, somebody out there. Turn to your neighbor and say, I'm in a CrisTis. I'm in a CrisTis. That's a whole different, it even sounds different, doesn't it? It doesn't sound that bad to be in a crisis, but anytime you said, man, I'm in a crisis, it doesn't sound all that good. I wanted to do, just real quick, because we were in Italy. How many people want to see some vacation pictures? You're like, well, we have no choice. You're right. So we got some cool vacation pics that we're going to throw up there. Here's the first one. All right. That's a diesel truck in Italy. How many people know that I was built for Italy? Amen? I loved Italy, my Lord. Right, so I put a contest on Facebook on who could come up with the best caption. And you are all so kind and loving that I'm going to share a few of those captions right now. Throw up the first one. Jason Kenny, I know you're here today. He says, we are the lollipop kids, the lollipop kids, the lollipop kids. I'd like to see you, Jason, after the service, if that's all right. We have Sarah that said, I shall call him my mini, and he shall be mine. And then this is the one I really want to see after the service, the third one. This is my favorite. Hey, I can reach the pedals. Thank you, David. Security team would like to see you right after the service. And then we had a contest. And so here's our winner of the contest. Scotty's biscottis, we bake them, you take them. He put a mustache on me. Come on, somebody out there. So while we were in Venice, there's this area that I love to go to, and I'm the bird whisperer. Throw that thing up there. The birds love me. Look at that. Right? Now, what's funny is I sent this picture back to my kids that were back here, and Baylor, my super funny kid, he sent me this picture the next day. There you go. He took the time, supposed to be studying for finals, but he's making little birds all the way in the back. All right. Now, here's a real classy picture from you from the vacation. You're really going to enjoy the scenery on this one. Throw that thing up there. All right. Yes, I know it's a toilet, and I have to explain something to you. They don't have toilet seats in Italy. It's a 2,300-year-old civilization. I believe they got tired of the battle of whether it goes up or down. They said, then we just don't have one. I don't know. And finally, here's the thing, and there's a story that goes with this. So we're at a hotel in Prayanas, and nice hotel, and I'm blow-drying my hair, right? And I hear Holly saying something in there. I'm like, whatever. So I get the hair all styling and good, and then I shut off the hairdryer, and Holly goes, what were you using to blow dry your hair? I said, well, the hotel hair dryer. She goes, you're talking about the one over by the toilet? I said, yes. She said, the one by the bidet? She said, yes. She goes, you know that's not a hair dryer. Throw that video up. That's a hair dryer, is it not? I'm going to be honest with y'all. My hair has never looked that good. You know how, like, ladies, you'll spend $100 for highlights? These were free. This right here, all free. Come on, somebody out there. There's the Italy highlights, the hair dryers. All right. So today we're going to look at Elijah, 2 days in Elijah's life. 2 different days. And the goal in this is for you to be able to see parts of your own life in each of these days. The ultimate goal is that you'll be able to look at it and go, wait a second, I don't want to go through the same pitfalls. I don't want to have the same setbacks that Elijah had on his bad day in my life. And I want to learn how to put Christ into whatever crisis that I have in my life. The first day is out of chapter 18, and Elijah is in a big crisis. All of Israel has turned from God. They're now worshiping other gods. Elijah is the only prophet, the only one that is left. All the other ones are gone or have been killed. And he's standing here in front of 450 of Baal's prophets. Now, in the back of his mind, he knows, and reading the story, we know that at the end of the day, if something doesn't happen, he's going to die. This is a huge crisis. But you'll notice in this day, this huge day, that he puts Christ into his crisis. And so he calls out all of the other prophets. He says, here's the thing. My God versus your gods. We'll set up 2 bulls on altars. And what I want you to do is we'll see which God can call down fire. You go first. And so all the prophets from the other God, they begin to dance and pray and chant and everything. And then we find ourselves in verse 27. And I picked out this verse because I'm a competitor. I love when people talk a little bit of smack. Amen? Come on, I like a little bit, right? It's just that competitive nature. And nothing to me is funnier than prophets talking smack in the middle of a battle. And so here you got Elijah, and he says, and so it was at noon that Elijah mocked them and said, cry out loud, for he is a god. Either maybe he's meditating or he's busy, or he's on a journey, or perhaps he's sleeping and must be awakened. Come on, somebody. That's funny when you begin to mock other gods. Yeah, your God must be tired. Maybe he's sleeping. He ain't showing up. Well, sure enough, nothing. The other god's nothing. And so Elijah says, all right, let's make this a little more complicated. He said, dump a bunch of water. Let's do 4 big pitchers of water on mine. Dig a trough around it. Then he prayed to God. He said, God, I want them to see your glory. I want them to see how amazing you are. And fire was cast down from the sky. Boom, lit the whole thing up. Then a guy takes off in a chariot. And Elijah wanted to beat him. And so the Bible says he girded up his loins. The Lord came upon him. And he outran the chariot. This is an X-Man moment. Come on, somebody out there. He's doing some stuff. He's calling fire down. He's running faster than a chariot out there. And things are going great. But you notice in this entire event that Christ was a big part of this day. We go to the very next chapter right away. Chapter 19. And I don't know if this is a day. Maybe it's a few days. Maybe a week later. And Elijah gets this letter from Jezebel. And she has found out that all the prophets have been killed, and so she writes this letter to Elijah. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah saying, so let the gods do to me and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. And when he saw that, he arose and ran for his life. Another translation says he was filled with great fear. And he went to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went another day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a broom tree. And he prayed that he might die and said, it is not enough now, Lord, take my life, for I am no better than my fathers. Do you see a difference in his days? My gosh, he was a hero just a day, a week earlier, and now he's all the way to a 0. You were an X-Man, and now you are running from your life. And I want to give you 4 points today to help you that in your own life, because I think that we've had times where God has done an incredible miracle one day in our life, and something went boom. And maybe it was a week, maybe it was a month, maybe it was a year later, and all of a sudden we find ourselves lying and going, God, where are you at? Why has nothing turned out? And how come my life? And I want you to see that if I can put Christ into every circumstance in my life, that I can have Elijah's first day in whatever battle and whatever things are going on in my life. Number one, I want you to notice that number one is there wasn't a real problem on that second day. How many times do we have what we think is a real crisis and it's just a rumor of a crisis? Isn't that weird? The day before, he was surrounded by 450 of the prophets. If he didn't work some stuff out, he was going to die on this day. How many people know that's probably a real crisis? The next one, all he got was a note of something that might happen in the future. And this is what put him over the edge. And I wonder how many times that we hear a rumor or a note or something on the news, and it freaks us out and fills us full of worry and doubt. And see, the first day, he was in the midst of his problem, and Christ was in it, and he overcame it. The second day, there was no Christ involved in this, and he's running for his life and full of fear because he's afraid of something that might happen. How many times do we keep ourselves up at night full of worry? Anybody ever worry themselves into a better life? You're like, oh man, I am so glad I worried. Woo, I'm glad I lost 3 days of sleep. That was just great, right? Jesus said worry doesn't add anything into your life. But when Christ isn't part of it, these accusations, you hear the news, and there's a layoff, and I don't know, and your girlfriend's talking about this and that, and all of these accusations, things, they consume us, and they get us to forget that if I will put Christ in the middle of these things that I'm dealing with in my life, that I can be the David, the Joshua, I can be the Moses that parts the Red Sea, I can be the one that has victory. Come on, somebody out there. I can have the victory in whatever problem that I'm dealing with. Italian people are some of the nicest people I've ever met. They were great. We met so many nice, amazing people. But how many people know that every country has their annoying people? If you don't know anyone over here, you might be that person. I don't know. I'm just saying. Every country has their annoying people. But in Italy, my perception is their annoying people are multiplied by 10 on ours. And maybe it's the accent, maybe it's their demeanor, I don't know. But I met a very annoying person at a hotel. And we had been traveling all day on a train. We got to Venice, we drug in our luggage all the way to the hotel. We get in, and there's two guys sitting, with his little suit and his little sour face, and they're over there talking, And why does the Italian language always sound angry? Anybody know? Have you ever heard it? It's like French? If somebody says something in French, you're like, oh, that's beautiful. They could tell you where to go and where to hike and right? And you're like, thank you. But an Italian person, they get go, what? They get going, and then you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? He's like, oh, I was just saying hi to my mom. You're like, okay, well, okay. So they're talking, and so I stand there, and I know they saw me. They're looking at me. They looked at me, and then they went back to their conversation. So I waited a little bit, and then I went, excuse me. And the one guy, he rolled his eyes. Then he said something in Italian. I don't think he said, hey, this is that guy from the Wake Up Show. I don't think he said that. The other guy giggled a little bit. He came over. He's all, yes. And I said, I'm here to check in. I need to check in. He said, passports. And okay, this is on me. I didn't know, but I didn't leave Italy, so I didn't think I needed a passport, right? So I left my passport at the house we were renting, and I went to Venice. I didn't know this was some big old event. I said, well, I don't have my passport. You do not have your passport? What do you think you are at? I said, well, I'm in Venice. I didn't think I needed it. Why would you not bring your passport? I said, I just did. Why would you not bring your passport? And so I said, well, here, I gave my license. And he pushed it away. He's like, you might as well give me a seashell. That is useless to me. I said, well, it's my identification. He goes, are you an Italian citizen? I said, no. He says, exactly. You need to have your passport. Why would you not have your passport? I said, I don't. Let's just move forward. He's like, no, I need to know why you do not have it. I said, I don't know why. Why? And my kids are around me. I'm getting scolded like I'm a 3-year-old, right? And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, why do you not have your passport? I said, I just don't have it. He's like, just like all you Americans, right? And so I represent all of you in a bad way all of a sudden here. I'm like, all you Americans. And I said, I don't have it. He goes, why do you not have it? I said, I don't know. I don't have it. He goes, what if you get arrested? I said, arrested? Why would I get arrested? He's like, what if you get arrested? What are you going to do? I said, I don't know. I'll go to Italian jail. I don't know. What do you mean? If you get arrested and you don't have a passport, what is going to happen? And he's got these accusations. So in this story, he's playing the part of the enemy. Amen? And so, right, the enemy comes with you accusations. What if this happens? And what if that happens? And what if this doesn't turn out? And what if that doesn't turn out? And we get all stressed and we get all full of this worry and this anxiety of things that may happen and may not happen and doesn't know. I'd rather just deal with what I'm dealing with now. Just check me in the stupid hotel, somebody. Let's not worry about whether I get arrested or not. So we finally got checked in. And he was bugging me because he right, the way he talked and talked down to me in front of my kids. And so I don't know. I think it was subconscious. The next day when I was checking out, I wanted to be a little Scotty sarcasm with him, show him a little love of Living Word Bible Church. And so he gave me this massive key. I think it's an American thing that he gives us, right? It was a big old piece of metal attached to a key. It was like this big, and I had to carry it around in my pocket all day. He gave us 2 of those things. And so when I came out the thing, I kind of dropped them a little bit on the table. So boom, and I made a little noise. And and he looks at me, and I go, hey, here's your little keys back. He goes, little keys? I said, yeah, little keys. He goes, those are not little keys. I said, well, it's a joke. A joke? That is not a funny joke. I go, okay, I was trying to, he goes, do you not know what little is? And then he looked up and down me like that. So I got arrested without a passport. No, I'm just teasing. We get concerned with different things. You know, it's hard to worry when your daddy is around. I got to thinking that the last time I had gone to Italy about a decade ago, about 10 years to teach over there, we went with my parents, and we were walking around, and there was a noticeable difference when I was with my dad. Because I just follow it. I'm just enjoying, walking around, me and Holly holding hands, taking pictures. We're enjoying it. No worries. We even accidentally made it to like a red district or red light, something, a bad district, I guess. Later I found out. Like there's people, right? It's bad. It's a bad place. And I'm just enjoying and everything else. There was no concern. When I went this time and I became the daddy, how many people know that when we're walking through the alleys at night, I'm on it. Like I am like, right? Anything gets close, you're going to have 5'4" all over you. Like I am like, it was a different experience. And the same thing for you. If you put your daddy into your day, you'll be able to walk without some worries and some concerns, come on, and some of that junk in your life. But when you're trying to do it on your own, and you're going to do your day on your own, and you're going to do your relationship on your own, you're going to do your marriage on your own, and you're trying to do these things on your own, it's hard not to worry and to have anxiety and have stress about things that might happen in your future. Number 2 is you'll see in day 1, he was full of faith. When Christ is in your crisis, it's hard not to have confidence. He was confident. He was even a little bit arrogant. He was just he knew that things were going to turn out. He was like David in front of the giant. He was like Joshua in front of the wall. He was like Moses in front of the Red Sea. There was a confidence that happened when I put Christ into my crisis. But in the next day or the next week, when Christ was not part of it, this is when he was full of fear and anxiety and worry. One of the signs that you need to know that as soon as you get full of fear, as soon as worry begins to grab your heart, it should shoot up a red flag and go, wait a second, I got to get God into this moment. I need to take a moment and get him involved in what's going on in my life. I got to get him into this job thing. I got to get him in this layoff thing. I got to get him involved in what I'm doing. Number 3. The third thing that you'll notice in there is the first day he stood up. The second day he ran away. I think too many of us, we run away from our problems. We run away from our circumstances. We run away from things. We ignore them. We allow limiters into our life, things that hold you back. A limit. Well, I guess this is as good as my marriage will ever get. I guess this is as good as my finances will ever get. We just accept things that are far below what God's promises in his word says that we can have. And we need to be the people that are like David, that are like Joshua, who are like Abraham, who stand up to the problems in our life. That's what Elijah did. He stood up. He said, hey, let's get this thing figured out right now on who is the God, who is the Almighty. And this is what some of us need to do. Stop accepting things that are subpar to God's best in your life. Stop accepting second best. Stop taking whatever the world offers to you, but instead include Christ into your day, into your week, into your life, and you'll see that you begin to have that faith to stand up. Number 4 is my favorite. You'll notice that in number 4, that in verse 18, that he involved God and God was a part of the crisis. In 19, God was part of the whining about the crisis. You see a difference. In chapter 18, he was part of it. He was involved. He was doing it together. But in chapter 19, all of a sudden, God just got to hear about the crisis. Just got to hear about how things have failed, how things aren't going good. Peyton he's my youngest son. He was about 4 or 5 years old. And I was at the table working on something, and he was building Legos. He was building the Tower of Babel, I believe. He was building an epic tower. It was just going and going. And all of a sudden I hear him, he goes, Dad, I need your help, And I saw it, and it was kind of wobbling, and so I got up real quick, and I grabbed it, and I'm like, all right, son, and then we started to put, and we got it all stable. We stood back, and we're like, ooh, that's awesome. We did it. About a week later, sitting at the table, same thing, he's doing the Legos, and all of a sudden I hear a crash, and I look over, and his Lego had gone over, and he's all, Dad, where were you at? Why would you let it fall, Dad? Why'd you let it fall? Listen, boy, I didn't let it fall. All you had to do is get me involved and get me activated into what you're doing. All you had to do was ask. Say, hey, Dad, will you help me in the process of your crisis? As soon as it began to teeter, as soon as it began to fall, just invite me into the problem that you're having. And so many Christians, see, this is what they do. They don't talk to God until after everything fell apart. And they're like, well, God, where are you at? How come things didn't go? And God's like, hey, all you have to do is invite me. I'd love to be a part of the building process of your life. I'd love to be invited into your day. I'd love to be invited into your job. I'd love to be invited into your marriage. I'd love to be invited into your fight. Invite them in. I thought about this today. If you're in the middle of a fight with your spouse, what if you just stop and said, Dear Heavenly Father, Jesus, Lord, I'm just asking that you help her realize how wrong she is. And I haven't tried that out. Try it out this week. Tell me how it works. I don't know if it works or not. It hasn't been tried. But you involve God into your day. Involve Him before it falls apart. Involve Him into what you're doing. See, there's different prayers. There's 2 different ways you can do this. You can say, well, God, how come my bank account is always empty? And how come it seems like I never have money to do anything? Where are you at, God? I don't understand why things are going wrong. Or you could do Elijah's first day and say, hey, God, what if you were to help me out? God, what if we got involved? Lord, give me some business ideas. Lord, give me some favor in my job. Lord, go before me. Give me the mind of Christ of what to do in my finances. Now you have involved God rather than just whining to God about what you're not accepting in your life. Well, God, when am I going to bring Mr. and Mrs. Right into my life? And I was this age and never, and all I do is get jerks. I get just jerks everywhere I go. That's all you made. You just made a whole bunch of jerks. Or you could say, hey, God, you and I together are going to find this person in my life. Help me to be what I need to be. Get me in the right place. Get me in the right position. God, let's get this thing a-rolling. There's a difference. Oh, God, the teenager you gave me, I don't even know what to do with this teenager. This is just I don't even know. I'm just going to wash my hands of this. Or you say, God, give me the wisdom and direction of what to say and how to say it, Lord. Help me raise this child in the love and admiration of the Lord so they cannot depart from. Help me to show them their purpose and their destiny. Give me the wisdom that I need. Do you see there's a difference in between involving God in your day or whining about the problems and the crisis that you have? I can put them into my crisis and have a CrisTis, or I can just complain about my crisis that I'm having. I live a life, and I want this church, Living Word Bible Church, to be that church. That you get up in the morning and say, hey, God, we got a day ahead of us. Let's do this thing together. Hey, God, I got a meeting today. Give me the mind of Christ and give me some favor in this meeting. Hey, Lord, I'm coming home, and the spouse is not very happy. Give me some wisdom. Give me something, Lord. Oh, Daddy wants to get lucky tonight. No, I'm just teasing. So, give me something, Lord. And that was special for you. I didn't plan that. Give me something, Lord. Lord, help me with my finances. Man, things are getting a little bit tight, Lord, this month. And so I just need you to help me in my finances. God wants to be included in what you're building in your life. He is any good father doesn't want to just be whined about when things fall apart and you didn't include him in the building process. Lord, this marriage, Lord, I don't know what to do with this thing, but I know that if you'll get involved in this, that you'll give me the wisdom. Let's do marriage, God. Let's bring you into this marriage. Let's have you help us create this, what it's supposed to be in my life, Lord. And you begin to include him in every area of your lives. A goose. Hey, I know you had a good time in the sermon today as we were talking about CrisTis, putting Christ into your crisis in life.
Apply those principles to your marriage or to your single life or to your finances, whatever it is. Remember that life is a whole lot better when Christ is a part of it. Hey, we need your support. Help us help and change the world. Click on, give something. Always give your tithes and offerings to your local church. But remember that you were fed today and how important it is to give back so that we can get this word all over the world. Don't forget to watch Wake Up. Give us some thumbs up. Some information is going to be down there so that you can get on every day. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Be blessed. Remember, this is the day that the Lord hath made, and to rejoice and to be glad in it. Be blessed.